Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 225, recording on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And not a whole lot of news to talk about this week. We will be just going over some stuff we played, including Monster Hunter Wilds and some Steam Next Fest games. You know, Sean was just fucking couldn't wait to play some of these.
I was dabbling.
And I dabbled a bit too, but it wasn't pretty. We'll get into it all when we talk about it. I gotta say, I have to send out an apologies to all listeners out there. Apparently, my perusing of games that my co-hosts were talking about last week generated some loud audio feedback in the audio portion. Jump scares. I've been relayed to me as audio jump scares, which clearly everyone knows I'm very sensitive toward.
It's ironic. Very ironic.
Indeed, apologies go out to all of the listeners who suffered because of those jump scares. I've muted my Google app in the mixer completely. This should not be an issue. So if it does, then it's definitely Google's fault, which I can see happening. Google makes the worst product, and I hate them. But just sorry about that. Sean, I did look after we saw each other Saturday night to check the waveform, and it didn't even have like peaks beyond our typical limits of an MP3. So it must have just been a weird mixing thing.
I mean, the real test is, did you listen back and were you scared?
I did not listen back. I looked at the wave and I'm like, nothing over our ordinary here. So I'm just going to let it ride. There's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do at that point.
I mean, it definitely didn't sound loud to us on our end, although Zoom probably filtered some of it out. So,
yeah. All right. Moving on. Enough inside baseball talk. No one needs to hear about waveforms.
People love inside baseball.
Okay, let's get into what we played. And do you want to lead with Next Fest or Wilds? I'm going to leave it to Sean.
I think you should lead with Wilds. I mean,
no one else played Wilds?
No. I thought about it, but I had a lot of demos to play.
Okay. Tons. I will quickly give some thoughts on Monster Hunter Wilds. A lot of chatter in the Discord about this game. As I've said before, I am not a Monster Hunter guy. I've tried it many times, and every time I just don't get it. I do not understand the appeal. And then I tried the Monster Hunter Wilds demo or open beta a while back, and I was definitely more impressed. And I was like, this might be the time. Coupled with the fact that our friend Dax loves the game and was obsessed with it the last year, I'm like, he will be my guide into the world of Monster Hunter. And I picked this one up, played it quite a bit. 5 hours I've played so far. And I will say, out of any Monster Hunter game, I'm the most involved, which probably makes sense because everyone's saying it's super easy or too easy at the lower Hunter ranks, which is where I'm at. That being said, I finally hit an alpha and it ruined me. I fainted, which is dying like the max amount of times. And I was like, I don't know, maybe this is the barrier, but I fought it again and I destroyed it the second time. Had to cook that food. You got to cook the food. And I would say, I think I had mentioned, possibly privately, not publicly on the show, one of the first review summaries I read was less friction than ever, which called to me. I'm like, okay, these are good signs. This is going to accommodate me to the world of Monster Hunter. And so far, the story and guidance has helped quite a bit. I'm still a little overwhelmed. There is a secret is your little companion creature that you ride. That's kind of one of the feature elements of this open world Monster Hunter, where it's self-guided. You don't have to tell it where to go. You just kind of have a destination and it follows it. And while you're going there, you can use this grappling hook to grab resources and elements scattered all over the world, which is really fun. I think it's a great way to explore and collect and aim the most tried and true mechanic in gaming, aiming and shooting, only you're gathering things, and it helps make the game more fun. I think the sling was in the previous game, but not on the mount. Like, I can only focus on slinging while my mount is taking me where to go, which I like. I think a big difference for me this time is I did the quiz when you enter the game about your play style and what starter weapon you should use. And it gave me the dual blades. And I've really been enjoying using the dual blades. I've been no blocking, just dodging and quick attacks. And it's made a big difference from using like the super heavy swords, which always felt cumbersome to me. And it's all these things combined have kind of paved the way. I've done some multiplayer missions with Dax. I have to say, so confusing. Like, all the menus and systems for connecting online were like a journey. It took us hours to get things functionally set up with crossplay and get a round going. Once we did, it kind of makes sense, but certainly not intuitive. And I love the monster designs, some really cool ones. One that farts, pretty sweet. And I'm into it. I'm not hooked. I mean, to me, it feels playing Helldivers helped. If the missions or quests feel a bit like operations in Helldivers, you like prepare, get your gear, go out, hunt a monster, and then return and get your like rewards for the quest. And playing games like Helldivers with a team have helped accommodate to me to that game loop for Monster Hunter. I think I had always expected it to be more of a single player experience or like a driven experience. So having some extraction games experience, I mean, it's more of an RPG than extraction, but it helped bridge the gap for me. So liking it a lot, not quite as much as I thought, but I'm going to give it some more time. I'm not a loot guy, and from what I've read about the game, the progression systems are all driven by upgrading armor and weapons based on the next monster you face, gives you better loot, and I've never been a loot guy. So for me, the hook is the monsters, and I think there's 39 at launch. Don't quote me on that, but that is my reason to keep coming back. And the variety of the monsters. So it's and there is some good systemic design. The one fight is in the middle of a lightning sandstorm, and it affects the battle. Other monsters like will find their way, and you can draw them into battles to create unique scenarios. And I think all of those things are really interesting and benefit the game. So it feels like a next gen Monster Hunter for the most part, and I think it works. Yeah, I do find I want to go back to play some Nine Souls and other games more than this, but I'm going to keep. I forgot to say the biggest barrier to entry: moving, which was in the beta. Attack buttons being moved to Y and circle, which might be, now that I think about it, like a legacy element from Nintendo, where just I could see a Nintendo game having kind of a different button configuration, but oh my God, like I want to hit square all the time. Like it's the default attack button. Why do you have to change games so much? Why? And I can't even, from what I can tell, I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments. Please do. I don't think I can remap it.
So you said Y and circle. Do you mean triangle and circle?
Holy shit. Yes. Okay.
I was a little confused. Like, are you playing on Xbox and PlayStation here?
Oh,
what's going on?
And that's pure embarrassment material. But triangle and circle are the problems. And especially when I'm playing a lot of games and I have to go back and forth, it is one of those games that it feels like you have to dedicate your life to. And then you do dailies in Red Dead and some other, and then come to this, and it's like, how does anyone do this? Or play more than one game at once?
Does this game have dailies and all that kind of stuff as well?
Yeah. So there's login bonuses and extra perks and rewards for doing so many optional quests or multiplayer quests a day, which I've done here and there. again, I'm just scratching the surface. I know there's a lot more depth to this game, but it's been my favorite experience starting to join this franchise I've ever had. And I love the secret. I just decorated my secret, which was a lot of fun. And I actually thought the customization and coloring options were quite intuitive and robust. The armor actually looks pretty cool. I usually don't get off on armor sets, but the ones you craft so far have all been pretty compelling and interesting, and I'm digging it. Haven't experimented with many weapons yet, though. I feel like that's the experience I'm missing out on, like trying some of the different weapon types. But it's pretty good.
And like how much of a grind is this game? Like it feels like it would be a lot of just trying to level stuff up so you can take on the next creature. And
I don't know like late game stages how the grind comes in. So far, I haven't found it grindy at all. I just kind of keep doing missions, collecting stuff, and I've had more than enough resources to craft, sell, do something in between missions every time. I don't know if I've established a proper loop of how I upgrade. I feel like cooking is a much bigger deal than I'm kind of allocating time for so far. And I think that's why I lost my first alpha fight, because I didn't eat a meal before. So the next time I ate a meal, I will say I've never been a big fan of cooking in games, but this is relatively fast and painless. Although I think I did see something about certain meals and steaks having mini games could be a problem. We'll see. 5 hours in, I would give it like an 8-ish out of 10 right now.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the Metacritic was like 88 or 89.
It's pretty high. I think IGN gave it an 8. And it's tough to tell with Monster Hunter reviews how much are based on where it sits compared to previous entries in the series, and that's, this game seems like it's being compared to previous ones. I read a whole Reddit post about someone telling you how the game works, which was very helpful at a very high level of how you progress and how the different hunter ranks work, which the game does not really explain at all. So the word overwhelming still applies, but it's not quite as overwhelming as other times I've tried to play it. I think that's all I have to say so far.
That's the thing with reviews too, is like you usually you can tell from reading the review, but like, is it written by somebody who's hardcore Monster Hunter person who's played all the games versus somebody who's maybe a little more casual to the series? Like, that's pretty important to know when it comes to people's opinions on it, I think. But
check Steam. I don't know if this is related to performance on Steam, but Monster Hunter Wilds mixed. Ouch. Considering the overwhelmingly positive demos I've played recently, mixed is really bad.
How many reviews?
62,688. I don't know if that includes
62,000.
If you played the demo or open beta, probably does. So it might be even a mixed bag of when these reviews were gathered.
I mean, if that's just the game that launched like a couple days ago, that's a lot of reviews because usually it's like 10x or more is like the sales. So you're looking at 600,000 just on Steam alone.
First 3, stop using outdated multiplayer systems. There's like 3 or 4 layers to even getting into a game, completely unexplained. Then you crash and have to start the whole process over. Yeah, I kind of agree with these reviews. So. Yeah,
I mean, like at the same time, I saw, and I don't know if this is like just because of Monster Hunter, but like there was talk about Steam hitting like some crazy milestone in terms of number of players online at the same time. I think it says here 40 million concurrent players, which I guess maybe is the first time they've hit that mark. But yeah, I mean, I assume it's doing well. Everybody seems to be talking about it, so that's a good sign.
People are talking about it, Sean. You're more the guy who listens to what people are saying. Playing these games.
I mean, I'm mostly just judging from social media and the Discord, but
The second review is a performance complaint, so I'm sure that's a big fart of the piece. Okay. Steam Next Fest. Let's get into it. Sean, lead us off. You sent us some recommendations today, so
yeah, it was hard.
It's all Sean's fault. Okay.
So I played probably about 20 different games, I think.
Whoa.
These were the highlights you sent us?
Well, this is the thing. You guys asked, okay, give me a couple games that we can check out to kind of talk about. And I was like, honestly, there weren't a ton of like standout games that I was like, you got to play this. This is amazing. But there, again, like I'm always just so impressed by the wide variety of what's out there. And just, there's some pretty creative stuff. But I have to admit, some of the ones I sent you were more just like, I don't know, maybe this would be good for discussion, but like, do we want to kick off with some of those or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, unless you want to have, well, I assume the best one you played is, or your favorite one was one of the ones you told us.
Yeah, I mean, there were some multiplayer games that we played as a family that were really fun. That probably were my favorites. But then I was like, well,
okay,
that wouldn't work for you guys to try. But the best that I played. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you a couple. So I played a game called Oblin Party, which I think the game it reminded me the most of is Spider Heck. I don't know if you guys tried that. It used to be on Game Pass, maybe still is. But both games are sort of multiplayer games where you're kind of swinging around a map, a 2D map, and they're a little bit. There's some physics involved, so they're a little bit chaotic and crazy, but just very fun. And this one in particular, you kind of have these little cartoony guys that have two arms, and you can grab onto two different things at one time. And then you can also hold down a button to sort of stretch yourself and launch yourself if you're holding two things at once. And then obviously you can hold on to other players, or there's weapons in the game as well. And you're just trying to throw people out of the map, basically. So it's kind of like Gang Beasts as well, games like that. But it was just really fun, and the sort of the rubbery nature of the arms and the elasticity, I thought just felt great. So that one was a highlight. And then
comes out soon too, March 11th. Comes out in like a week. Oh,
really? Yeah. That's cool. And then another one that, maybe not as unique, but had a lot of fun with, called Dunk Dunk, which reminded me a lot of iDarb, if you guys remember that game. I loved
iDarb.
Yeah, so it's basically basketball, but kind of, very simplified, and you're just trying to get a ball to the other end of the court, and you kind of, launching the ball or launching yourself and kind of hitting the other people, and you can kind of turn yourself into a wall temporarily to try to block shots. But I mean, it just very simple, but super fun as a multiplayer game.
Yeah, I definitely see the iDarb similarities. I wish iDarb was only on Xbox One, and I wish they would remake it or do a new version for multi-platform. It was great.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe Dunk Dunk is the answer.
Maybe.
Pretty good.
So what were the games I told you guys to play?
Bad Cheese.
Definitely not Dunk Dunk and Oblin Party. I can say that.
Okay, so Bad Cheese. This one caught my eye visually. And, we've talked about Mouse PI, that game coming out this year, which is sort of a black and white first-person shooter in the style of like Cuphead, that kind of cartoony, that era of cartoony animation. And so this is like that, but it's a horror game, and it's kind of more directly referencing Steamboat Willie, I would say. And
Imagine Blood and Honey and MLCI can be combined. Like what we can rip off old IP and yet to be released IP simultaneously.
yes.
Ultimate leeching of ideas.
So I really couldn't figure out what to even do in the game for the most part. But I just thought it had a cool look and a cool atmosphere. What did you guys like? How much did you even play of this?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. I got through the whole demo, but it probably only took me 10 minutes or something like that. But yeah, it was. Yeah, they definitely didn't really give you a good idea of where to go, and the like field of view is very limited, and there's almost like a vignette around everything. You can only see so far in the distance, so you can't even really get an idea of where you are in a level. Like when you have to go up to the bedroom, I like couldn't find the door out of there. I kept going like in the closet. I'm like, how the hell do I even where did I even come into this room? And because it's all like 2D sprites, when you look at them, they're always facing you, so you don't even really know what direction you were looking at them before from. Like, it's not like you're now looking at their back. And so, okay,
Yeah.
I know I had to cross the room. They're going to be facing you regardless. So it was like very disorienting for certain portions. And there's not much variety in the environment. It's not like they had, a bookshelf on one wall and then a bed on the other and like other landmarks I could use. So it was tricky. I mean, luckily the play area was pretty small, so you just kind of like you basically stumble into where you're supposed to go, I found, by pure accident. Because, it was like, go to the specific room, and you're like, okay, well, how the hell do I know where this room is? And then you just stumble into it, kind of idea. So,
I went to a room where the door was locked, and I thought, like, oh, that must be where I have to take the pills once I get them. And then I got the pills, went back to that room. It's still locked. And I'm like, I'm done.
I'm done.
I don't know where I was.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think this game started with a splash screen that said something like "Sue me," like, or
Yeah, something like that.
What do we call Blood and Honey and stuff like that? The term I can't believe it.
Mockbuster?
No, like it's when the copyright is open or when things become available to the world to use. Why can't I think of this term? Sean, come on. When the copyright
Public domain?
Public domain. Thank you. It's public domain. Sue me or something. I'm like, this is kind of leaving a bad taste in my mouth already. And then to see it looks so much like Mouse PI. I don't know which one came first. So if this one came first, I apologize. But yeah, I thought the art assets looked okay when they were up close, and the art style was pretty cohesive ultimately, but I did not understand the game based on what I played.
Well, even the like jump scares they didn't really work on me in terms of like the horror aspect that I thought was going to be in this game. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I really didn't know. I mean, to be honest, I didn't give it that fair of a shake. It was not hooking me. I went into these demos like, you got 5 minutes to hook me.
Yeah, me too.
That's kind of the fun of them, though, I find, is like, yeah, you just give it 5 minutes and maybe it hooks you, maybe it doesn't, but then move on. But just
spoiler, none of these hooked me.
Okay. But what we're talking about, sort of like, how this game maybe is riffing on what Mouse PI was doing, or Cuphead, even, like, you need something to stand out in a crowd. There's so many demos, there's so many games on Steam. So I'll give you a couple quick other games that tried to stand out in interesting ways. So I played this game called Wordatro.
I played this.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a word game version of Balatro.
It's Wordatro.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is
Wordatro. It's Wordatro.
Wordatro. Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Now I know with, say, like Vampire Survivors, we got like a lot of games kind of copying that, and they would always add like Survivor in the title just so you know exactly what it is and you'd find it when you're searching or whatever. I'm wondering if we're going to have a series of games also using that, the atro at the end.
Well, I played shortly after Balatro, there was a roulette version.
Oh, really? I did not.
Yeah. And it did not borrow the atro so liberally to wear its unoriginality on its sleeve.
But I mean, this does have an exclamation point on the end, so that's a little original.
I mean,
yeah,
it's a blatant ripoff, like blatant, and that's not that great to me. There are some Survivors ripoffs I like, but I still respect Vampire Survivors the most. Word of Tro was better or hooked me more than the roulette version did. Like, it's kind of got a Scrabble aspect to it where letters have points and scores. And I thought the way it presented itself was nice enough. So out of all the demos I played, this was my favorite. And then always in the back of my head is like, is it that impressive ultimately? But I could see people who don't like poker but love Scrabble like really enjoying this game. I think it's going to do well.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it definitely, as always, I'm like, if this was on mobile, I would be playing it a lot. But it does have that feel of like the Balatro thing where it's like you get points kind of accumulating and it kind of plays out on a meter and it's showing you that and giving you that feedback. So I think they're definitely trying to copy that from the game for sure.
Yes, and instead of like you still have kind of a hand of letters. It's almost like your Scrabble ledger with all your letters, and then you can swap out 3 letters at a time. You have a limited amount of swaps, and I think it's 8 spaces for words. It might be more, but some of the power-ups you'll get are, and then obviously every letter has a score like Scrabble, but then you get powered up letters that are worth more, that affect letters beside them, that are wild card letters. Like I got an exclamation point, and you can get modifiers that are similar to the Jokers, which are, if you use the same length of the word you used previously, you get a bonus. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a modifier for use the exact same word, and you kind of build your letters or word spelling around similar words. I mean, you can see how this would expand itself. So it's an interesting take, not all that original, but successful, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did you try this one, Huck?
No, I didn't try this one. No, I forgot about this one.
And then there was another game that I thought I'd mention called Microvania.
Oh God. What is going on? Like, is that all this Next Fest is like?
Well, I mean, maybe you're just looking into my mind. Like, these are the games that jump off the screen at me, and I'm like, okay, I'll download that one. So this one is just straight up a Metroidvania game. It's almost like a ripoff of Metroid. Like, the assets look very similar. You get a morph ball right off the bat. But, the thing is that it's a lower resolution, I guess. So everything's very chunky looking. And I don't know, like it as much as it is just kind of a very, it is what it is, and it's not really adding anything to it. I played this almost probably more than any of the other demos, so I kind of got into it. But
I mean, it looks very slow.
Yeah, it does have that kind of old school NES sluggishness to it, I would say.
Yeah.
When I was researching Metroid likes, I kind of got into, there is like the Microvanias, like an actual genre of smaller.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what is it? What is the micro aspect?
Like under 4 hours, like tiny ones.
Okay.
So like Gato Roboto falls under that.
Gotcha.
There was Trash Quest, was the one where you play as a raccoon that is gotten a lot of recommends. So I kind of like these smaller Metroid likes, and this one looks decent. I would say in terms of being, I mean, there's a theme here of unoriginality, I have to say. But in terms of looking like Metroid, I'd say it's no less guilty than Axiom Verge was. Like Axiom Verge was the ultimate, like it looks like Metroid aesthetic to me. This one is
that's true.
a-
I had to
insane.
I had to laugh when you get the morph ball. Like the item is just called ball. Like it plays a little sound, and then it's like ball. And eventually, you get the ball dash. So pretty good naming conventions there.
Did you guys see the key art of the title screen? Like it has that Nintendo gray border around it. It's very like nostalgic.
Yeah, for sure.
The Nintendo covers.
Yeah,
Or cartridge covers.
there's interesting plays on nostalgia with like aesthetics and covers, and the Steam page has that same NES original cover look to it, and sometimes they're just too on the nose. I feel like everything we're talking about is too on the nose, and at least Worditro completely overhauled the art style. Like it's actually closer to like threes or something along those lines. So at least it's bringing that to the table. I don't know. I feel like I'm personally being rough here. So let's, it's not going to get better. Sean, what do you got next?
Well, I mean, we're talking about Metroidvanias. I recommended one called The Perfect Pencil. Now, I will admit this one starts off a little slow, but it was.
Oh yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of Ultros, not so much in art style, but just in weirdness, like pure weirdness.
Yeah,
So
you see that?
that kind of intrigued me. Like your character is like a guy with like a camera for a head, basically, and even like the pause menu plays into that, and
Like
and
a
just
video recorder camera,
Yeah.
like old school.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Got like a detailed, illustrated aesthetic, like almost like a Fantastic Planet-esque look to it. Only like a little more hyper detailed, especially with the environment stuff. I didn't mind this one. I did not like the main mechanic, or what I got to out of the main mechanics of you heal yourself after, like you charge up with hits, and then if you hold the left trigger and then hit an enemy, you get health back. And I found that I was pretty much unsuccessful with this and
Yeah.
was struggling with it. And they need to rework this, or
After I died the third time, I'm like, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm out.
they are not
Yeah.
like properly communicating the rules of this healing mechanic, or because I thought I hit an enemy with a charged sword and I didn't get health back. Do I have to kill the enemy in order to get the health? Like it didn't seem like it was working. So they've definitely got some wrinkles to iron out in this one.
Yeah. I don't know if it's an intentional art style or just lack of budget, but I don't like these 2D games that don't have, like, it's almost like they intentionally have animations with low number of frames. Like even the enemies, like their hit reaction is like 1 or 2 frames and it's very quick. And there's like no sort of like reload chart like time, or like you kind of hit them, there's like a flash, they maybe like go into some pose and then just come right back at you.
Yeah, I'm
frustrated by that.
it was definitely reminding me of Hollow Knight in terms of the feel of it. I don't remember if the enemies actually, like, how Hollow Knight, you hit an enemy and it actually pushes you back a bit too.
Yeah.
I don't think this has that, but it does give you that
definitely
like
not.
jolt when you hit the enemy. And I think part of it is what you're saying too, that they don't really react that much. Like you hit them and then they're almost right back at you again.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a tear researching these types of games, and I guess I'll mention, my goal was to like do a Metroidvania, or a Metroid like a week. I might have to just embrace it. I can't, it's so annoying. I hate it, but it's just so much easier. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to do this, until you play one Metroid like and then go to the next, and there's like one little thing that's different, you know. Oh, squares hit, but this one doesn't have double jump. Never mind like replaying a Metroid like and then you lose all your powers and then you have to adjust to that. Just slight differences between games. Like it makes it so much harder. Going back to Nine Souls after Ender, Lilies, and Magnolia took me like 2 hours to readjust to playing it. And it's just really hard to go from one to the next because there's so many similarities, but like a couple things that are different that I just revert to reflexive elements of the last one I played that aren't in this one. And I end up dying and snapping and blaming. Well, I don't blame the game, but it's like I get frustrated and it's not the game's fault. So I might need to take a break between Metroid likes. But this one, since I've been kind of playing so many, I mean, I felt the jump was super floaty. Like it feels like it feels like a game that might be, you know, made by artists with very limited programming budgets. It needs tighter physics and platforming to stand out. It's not up to snuff with other Metroid. It's kind of it might have been improved through patches, but that last case of Benedict Fox, is that right?
I think so.
It was almost there, but just some stuff felt a little off. I had mistaken Ultros for Cookie Cutter, either on the show or talking to Sean after, and like its parry mechanic. Cookie Cutter's parry mechanic was almost like unplayable. I think that's been patched after the fact. And I don't know. It's just there's so many of these types of games. If the fundamentals aren't tight, it's going to be a rough road. Like you have to get those fundamentals down.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you know, to be fair, it is a demo, so they've got time, hopefully, to tweak some stuff.
I do like the art style and weirdness, as Sean mentioned. It's got its merits. I hope they can pull it all together because it does have hooks that make it worth checking out.
So just, I guess, while we're talking about this genre of game, I did also briefly try out the Gal Guardians sequel. I don't know. You said you were going to play the original. I don't know if you got around to it, Frank.
I did not. I mean, I was a little put off by the trophy guide, which the final stage was collecting panties. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of world I'm entering. Every one of these Metroid likes have similar themes. I'm like, am I missing out on something? Like, do I not know something about these games? But I did not try it.
Okay, well, so Gal Guardians Servants of the Dark is the sequel, and I haven't played the original, but I just tried out the demo for this, which I think the game comes out this month, I think, or maybe next month.
I think it's out already. Oh, no, maybe it's March it comes out. I apologize.
But yeah, not too much to say about it. Anime inspired for sure, although I believe it is an original IP. But it's by Inti Creates, is the developer who they did the Blaster Master Zero series, which I am a fan of. So I kind of wanted to check it out, and it did have a vibe of like the DS Castlevania games because you have two characters that you can switch between. Actually, is there a co-op mode for this as well? I feel like I saw that option.
I think I saw that on the first one.
Okay, yeah, then maybe the sequel does as well. But yeah, not too much else to say, but it seemed pretty good. And certainly the controls are a little more refined than something like the Perfect Pencil. But I think the original's on sale currently as well.
Looks like all the Blaster Master Zeros are on sale. All their stuff's on sale right now.
So did you guys both try Skin Deep?
I did.
Yep.
So this one was one that I feel like I've been seeing on the top of a lot of lists of like, you know, Next Fest demos you got to check out. And it is by Blendo Games, I think. I think they did like Quadrilateral Cowboy, some other games that I vaguely recognize, but I don't think I've played.
Published by Annapurna, I think.
Yes, I think so. But so it's kind of a first person stealth game. I think the concept is that you're so in the future there's spaceships that carry cargo, and if somebody breaks onto that ship and like pirates try to steal stuff, there's like a security guard that's in like cryo stasis or something that wakes up on the ship and then has to go and like kill all the pirates, and you are that security guard, I guess. So I didn't really get a sense if there's like a full story to this game or if it's just kind of scenario based or what. But it did have this kind of, it was very colorful, had a bit of a sense of humor. And I don't know, it was reminding me a little bit of stuff like Journey to the Savage Planet in terms of tone. But it was very much a stealth game as opposed to like a first person shooter. But I thought it had potential. I just, again, if it had a story, I think I would have been more pulled into it. And, you know, I only played like 10 or 15 minutes. But what did you guys think of this?
I played just there was like 2 levels, I think. I only played level 1. And I found it very jarring because it seemed to keep jump cutting between like completely different areas in the game to show off different mechanics.
It would make
And
a
it was
weird
just
sound. All of a sudden, I was walking through or was in an event, and then it made some sound, and I ended up in some completely
somewhere yeah, a bizarre choice for a demo. So I don't know if it was just like they don't want to take the time to craft a demo, so they just chopped up bits of their game to show you the different mechanics and a jump cut between them. But it was extremely jarring. I never really got a feel for like what the hell I was supposed to be doing. Like I thought how they integrated those little like signs of the controls to use to do whatever you need to do there, with whether it was crouch or move or jump or whatever. Like I felt those were good at telling me what the mechanic was, but it just seemed like everything was about either going over a ledge or going under a thing or I guess there was that one kind of neat mechanic where you like throw stuff at the glass to break the glass, and then you go through the whatever the vacuum of space to the other section of the ship. That was kind of neat. But like at the same time, it was just so jarring. And then I don't know if you guys got to the part where you like free the cat thing or whatever, and then you got to like choke a guy and slam him into like certain objects in the bathroom or whatever, and then like throw his head into the toilet. Like it's just kind of bizarre and like random.
I kind of like the sound of that. I mean, to be fair, I was out by that the time.
Yeah,
I do not like the focusing mechanic.
That was kind of.
I teleported from areas. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. There's something off with the presentation of this demo. So I wouldn't say I'm out on this game, but the demo definitely left a sour taste in my mouth versus a desire to play more.
Yeah, all these games, like other than Worditro, just not well packaged demos in my opinion. And
Agreed.
The pencil one is fine, I guess. It just seems like it's the start of the game, but I'm really surprised by the quality level of stuff. I kind of get the feeling maybe top tier indie games or Steam games are getting pulled into publishers and streaming events or like PC gaming shows and stuff like that. And this is what's left over. And maybe that's just the lay of the land for these types of things, which I mean, I don't like to shit on like everything I played, but it was kind of depressing.
I do think that's a factor in terms of like some of the bigger titles, like even something like Ultimate Sheep Raccoon or whatever that's called, the Ultimate Chicken Horse sequel. They had a demo and I was looking forward to playing it. And by the time I got around to playing it, it was done. It was like not available anymore. So it was only available for like 3 days of Next Fest. So I feel like some of the bigger ones, they want to have a presence, but they don't want to give away too much. They know the game's going to do okay as it is. So they just kind of, either don't take part or they just give you something very small. So, but yeah.
I find it interesting that, like, I know when we were at Silicon Knights, like, all the research was about how demos hurt your sales. And it seems bizarre that now there's this whole like festival atmosphere around the demo space, which in theory is hurting everyone's sales. So it seems bizarre to me. Like I would be really interested if someone did a study of like similar games that participate in Next Fest and put out a demo versus don't, and to see if there's. I mean, I don't think you could ever have a comparative sample that would actually capture it properly, but it'd be interesting to see if there was like a different sales volume for the people that don't participate in the sales or in the demo, sorry, than that do and don't. You know what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it
But
feels
yeah,
like
it seems
Steam
bizarre.
Next Fest is more about getting people to stream your demo and get eyes on it or something like that, which
Yeah, maybe.
is always
Maybe it's not really.
the live kind of indicator on Steam. I mean, one other one I tried, which had the highest, like it said overwhelmingly positive and seemed like it might be up my alley, was Haste Broken Worlds, which is like a 3D kind of runner platformer where you're going as fast as you can. And I like the look of it, like the speed feels somewhat inspired by Neon White to me, not like, but a more speed focused version of that. But it's got a mechanic where it's all about going fast, launching up, and then landing at a specific angle to maintain your speed. And like you have to hold A to fall more quickly. And I like wasn't sure how I'm supposed to judge this, or I needed more feedback in turn. Like I would fall in the gaps all the time. I just didn't think it introduced what could be a cool mechanic in a great way. Like I look at the videos and I want to like this game, and I played it, and even the lowest barrier of entry was kind of frustrating or not that compelling. So I don't understand how much testing is and feedback is going into the demos as they're prepared, because it seems like lots of obvious stuff that doesn't get addressed.
Yeah. I mean, that's like Huck's saying, like, is a bad demo going to help you? Probably not. But even a good demo might not help you.
It's weird. It's like people they just want a wish list ad. Like that's all
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really what it is. And that's, I think that is used as a big metric for other stuff as well. So it's just, yeah, getting people to follow your game is a big deal.
It would be interesting, like to do a study on people's wish list things. Like maybe we do a little mini study right here. So like I put a ton of stuff on my wish list. I probably keep my wish list count in between 80 and 100 items at all times, I would say. And then as things come out and then go on sale, I would say it's probably about half things that haven't come out yet, half things that are out. And as things go on sale, if the sale gets deep enough, I might bite. And otherwise, like if stuff's been on there for a while, I'll go through and start culling stuff out that I no longer feel like I'm ever going to play. And then, so if people are just getting that kind of stuff, like I wonder how does that compare to your guys' wish list tendencies?
I got a lot of stuff on it. That's
Mine's,
for sure.
mine's 177. I tend to add stuff mostly while we're doing a show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, me
it's
too.
like, especially when it's a streaming event and we talk about a game and I'm looking at screenshots and I'll wish list it there. But I never cull it very much. And it's, probably stuff I won't buy unless it goes on sale for the most part. Especially now that but I use the wish list on PlayStation quite a bit to check, mostly to see what's on sale. So it's
Yeah. Yeah, I do the same. I'm just so like of the stuff on your wish list, how often will you buy, and do you always wait, let's say for like 50% or more to buy, or
I mean,
Yeah.
as for stuff that has yet to be released, I generally know when it's coming out. Once in a while I'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that was out already, and I'll buy it that day. And then other stuff is usually I'm just waiting till it's on sale.
right? Okay. Yeah, what are we
Yeah,
showing?
like I've got 500 on my wish list.
Whoa. There you go.
But I do use it as just a as soon as I see something that I'm like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this, I don't want to forget about it.
Like a game tracker.
Click add to wish list.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like I don't know that I'm paying that. Like some, you get notifications if a game is released that's on your wish list. I don't know that I pay that close attention to it. Like every once in a while, something will pop up and I'll be like, oh, that game. Okay, I'll go buy it. But usually, yeah, I'm waiting for sales. And then there's definitely stuff that's on my list that's been like 99 cents and I still haven't bought it. So I don't know why it's on my wish list.
You never cull your list then either?
Not really. Like maybe occasionally if there's something on there that I'm just like, yeah, I'm never going to play it. Maybe I'll remove it. But if I have even a little bit of interest, I'll just leave it on there.
Okay. Yeah, it's just so interesting because it does feel like wish list is now the like defining it, like how before it used to be like, oh, you got if you got a pre-order number, a big pre-order number, but now it seems like wish list is a new pre-order number. But I'm wondering, like, a pre-order was like a commitment to buy, so it was like much more powerful than a wish list, because a wish list is I have no commitment to buy. It's literally just saying like, I'm kind of interested in this game, right? So it seems weird that is the almost like definitive metric people are using to judge success. Like I follow a few newsletters that are talking about, marketing in the game industry and, how do you get sales funnels and all that kind of crap. And they're always about, or not always, but I would say half of them are about wish lists and, oh, how did this game get to 500,000 wish lists and all this shit? And I'm like, okay, well, like what's the conversion rate on a thing? If you had a great trailer or a couple great screenshots and you get 500,000 wish lists, but then the game is shit or you put out a shit demo, like, do those wish lists get removed? Do they just stay because no one calls their list ever? And you have like this big wish list count going in. But
yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people don't remove stuff from their wish list that often.
Yeah, probably not.
But you're right in that it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to buy it either. So,
I mean, it feels like something that is one of the only available public metrics for a newsletter to comment on, or
maybe
that measures hype. How else would you even know? So it just feels like some piece of public information that people can use, because there's really no other way to
I guess from like a marketing standpoint, it's a good way to judge just your like market penetration if people are actually seeing your game. If you only get like 10 wish lists, obviously it's either not interesting to anybody or no one's seeing your game. So it might be a good metric to use in terms of you might have to change your marketing strategy or something like that. But yeah, in terms of sales, I can't imagine that the conversion rate is that high on Steam. Unless, if you're a big game, obviously it would be high. But maybe even for a big game, you maybe get, I don't know, some crazy number, 10 million people wishlisting it, but then I don't know, what, 1 million maybe convert or something, or 500,000. So I'm sure it's like similar numbers for small games too.
My guess would be, for the most part, conversion rates for wishlisting is pretty consistent.
But would you think it's like sub 20%?
I mean, I'm obviously they would break it down on like release versus lifetime.
Sure.
I would say on release, I would guess 20 or lower.
Yeah. Okay. That would be my guess too.
Lifetime.
We could even probably say first year. I bet it's still 20 or lower.
First year, probably 25 or 30 at max, and 50% lifetime would be my guess.
Okay. I would guess way lower than that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But hard to say.
All right.
Sure, someone's done the research on that, but
maybe.
Any other demos, Sean? Or Huck?
Well, so you didn't try the Ninja Turtles one, right, Frank? But you did?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, let's briefly talk about that. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown. This is the first strategy game using the TMNT license that I'm aware of. And I can't remember who the developer is. Is it the people who did
Strange Scaffold? They
did I Am Your Beast and yeah, a couple other cool things. So I was kind of intrigued. But kind of keeping with the theme of some of the stuff we've been talking about, the demo is put together in a weird way, where I kind of had a hard time getting a sense of what the main mechanics are. Like, I guess the thing that surprised me the most about this game, like I expected just kind of an XCOM Ninja Turtles game. But the thing that surprised me about it was that you kind of are moving through a level. So you have like a group of enemies, you kind of take them out, and then you keep moving, and then more enemies pop up, and you keep moving, and it's sort of like...
And the board shifts and is removed as you're moving through the level. So sections of the world actually fall away, and you could die if you're standing on one of those squares as it falls away. So it's a very unintuitive, unique, but I found it very unintuitive, at least at the beginning, why it was set up like this.
Yeah, I mean, it unique, I agree. I was wondering if there was any other strategy games, like tactics type strategy games, that have done that before that they're copying from, but yeah, I thought it was okay. I just, yeah, it wasn't a great demo at kind of showing you what the main thrust of the game was, I guess.
Yeah, even when the first thing, when you first start launching the demo, it's like, place your guy, and I like couldn't figure out how to even get the character down at first onto the board. I was like selecting, like it was like highlighting these two squares, and I was trying to click on the two squares and it wouldn't let me do anything. I had to click on any other square except those two squares for some bizarre reason. I don't know why. And just like the UI elements of this game are, I don't know, I had a hard time understanding what they're trying to tell me. And even the attacks, like there's one attack you can do, or move, I guess, action, that's like do damage anytime an enemy jumps over you or something like that. And so I use that move trying it out, and I thought for sure a guy jumped over me and nothing seemed to happen. So I'm like, well, I obviously have no idea how to use this move at all. So then I never used it again. And then I basically just went from I just started using, the normal attack and moving. And that's it. That's all I used for like the whole demo.
Pretty much what I did. Yeah. I was I don't understand these other unique moves.
There's like three other moves, and they made no sense on how to use them, or they seemed useless to me. In what the description said, how to use them, I didn't understand it. So it was strange.
Yeah, and then at the end of that first level, I guess, I feel like I died, and I was like, am I supposed to die? Is that the story, or did I do something wrong? I was confused, and then that's kind of where I ended. So,
yeah, I felt the same way. And just like to go back to the dropping out mechanic, I don't understand why. And then there's even some areas where it seems like they want you to destroy all the bad guys, but then the floor starts like almost dropping out before you can. So are you supposed to just kind of like run ahead and leave those guys to be like caught up by the falling floor? I don't know. It seems strange. It was a strange setup and didn't really tell you why you were doing this, or I don't know. At first, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be like those Hitman and Lara Croft puzzle games that are like CSGO, I think they were called, or
Hitman Go.
CSGO, Hitman Go, and Tomb Raider Go, or whatever it's called. Yeah, but Ubisoft, just by how like the cards looked, I don't know, I thought it was going to be like that, but no, it's like a more traditional tactical game. But yeah, again, another poorly created demo, and just not introducing the mechanics well at all. A lot of these demos have just like throw you into the fire and just sink or swim.
Yeah, and again, it probably comes back to like, do we spend a ton of time building this custom demo that flows nicely, but like we could just be putting that time into development? Like people probably don't have the resources for that, at least the indie developers. So
yeah.
Frank, were there any other demos you tried?
No, just that haste one.
Okay. Huck, was there any others you tried?
I tried the Tiny Lands 2 demo. I talked about Tiny Lands 1 with you guys a couple months ago, I think. It's like that comparison side by side game. It was pretty much the same. I think they added a few, like one other additional mechanic of like having a hidden puzzle piece in the world. But other than that, it seemed to be basically the exact same game, just maybe a little more polished. But the performance was surprisingly a bit of an issue. Like every time the level would load, it would like hang my whole computer for like 5 seconds. So that was kind of surprising, just like a massive asset load. But whatever. I mean, it was fine. I don't know if I'll pick this game up actually. In hindsight, I don't know if I really like enjoyed the first game other than felt like compelled to finish it just because I had bought it. But it wasn't like an enjoyable puzzle experience for me. So I don't think I'll go back to this one. But yeah,
But did you wish list it?
I know I did not. I think I already had it on my wish list, but you know what? I might go cull
Okay.
it from my list right now.
Uh-oh.
Now that we've been talking about it.
We need an official Where's Waldo game. I remember there being one for NES that I was very disappointed with when I was young. But let's get some Where's Waldo.
That's true. There have been a few kind of similar, like there's that Hidden Folks game, and I feel like there's something else. But okay, I'll give a quick rapid fire of a few other things. I tried Wander Stop, which is that new game from Davey Wren that's coming out in like a week or two. And with obviously Stanley Parable, Beginner's Guide, I like those games, and I was thinking that this like it's billed as a tea run your own tea shop kind of simulator, and I was like, okay, but there's got to be some other.
In this whatever event we saw this in, it goes to some weird places, or there's like a twist or a dark side to this game. That's all I remember about this.
Right. So I was like, okay, I gotta find out what's the deal with this game. And it kind of opens and you're like this like knight or warrior or something running through the woods, and then you like pass out, and then you meet this guy, and he takes you to his tea house, and you start picking leaves and making tea. And I was like, okay, when's the other stuff gonna happen? And
When does it get fucked up? When does my mind get fucked?
it didn't happen in like the 10 or 15 minutes that I played. So far, all I can say is it seems like a very straightforward, cozy tea making simulator game, which I am not that interested in. So I don't know. Waiting to hear about reviews on this one. I tried Twisted Tower. This might be of interest if you're into like BioShock. It's kind of got that kind of vibe. It's a first-person shooter at a like carnival, basically, or like a carnival that's on like an island. But the thing is, I don't know if it's actually got any of the RPG kind of elements of BioShock. It just seemed like I think the only weapon I had was like a mallet so far. So, but I was kind of liking the atmosphere and just the general premise. Don't know anything. It's published by 3D Realms. I don't recognize the developer. Atmos Games. Don't know what else they've done. So I don't know. It was okay. What else? Oh, The Phantom, the latest arcade brawler based on an IP.
God, these don't stop.
I like the art style, but it felt very I don't know what's the word. It just it wasn't fluid. It felt very stiff, and I don't know, wasn't really feeling it.
I don't like the art style, and I gotta say, Sean, you sent us Jay and I the Terminator 2 beat 'em up trailer.
Well, I don't know if it's
That
just a
or
beat 'em up. I think it's a side scroller.
Yeah, it's like a whole version of the movie in side scroller form.
Yeah.
I found that art style to be pretty hit and miss as well. Like I thought the characters were not great, but I did like the transport truck moment. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Too much of this.
there's a lot of it, but I'm looking forward to that Terminator one. What else? I'll give you a couple more. I tried a puzzle game called Is This Seat Taken? this one seemed to be, in a lot of articles and stuff I saw, and it's very simple. I'm kind of like, I liked it, but I'm like, okay, well, how do they expand on this? And it's basically you're a bus driver or a limo driver or something, and you have all these characters that have requirements on where they can sit. Like they want a window seat. They want to sit beside their friend. They don't want to sit beside this person who smells, stuff like that. And you got to figure out the perfect place to put each of them. And it's just, a logic puzzle basically. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's not bad, but yeah, how do you make a whole game out of this? I don't know, but the demo was pretty good. And I guess I'll mention.
Look at this.
I know. I just wishlist this one too.
I mean, it does. There was another game with I think like you're a puddle or something or a shadow that would move.
Oh, right, Skim or something like that. Was that it?
Skim, I think, or something like that. And I mean, it had a very similar color palette. It's like Scrim or
yeah,
Tim and Eric. Scrim.
Yeah,
there's too many games. It's out of control.
So I tried Ruffy and the Riverside. This one, it was already on my wish list. I don't remember where I heard about it. And the concept is really cool. The concept is you're kind of like, it's basically a 3D platformer, but you can take the textures off of objects and place them on other objects to like change their properties, which sounds cool. I don't know. In practice, it wasn't that interesting. Like you basically take like vines from one place and put them on a waterfall so you can climb up a waterfall, or you like take wood and put them on stone blocks so you can break through them. But like the art style also wasn't really, I don't know. It's like the characters, or at least the main character, is sort of 2D, but the world is 3D. But the 2D character, the animation and stuff looked a little like it's hand drawn, but it looked like too hand drawn, in my opinion.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the name of this one? Sorry.
Ruffy and the Riverside. But it kind of felt like a Mario 3D kind of thing with that mechanic added to it.
Yeah, I do get the sense in my video watching here that it's turn a waterfall into a vine you can climb, or the opposite. There's not a lot of other options here.
Yeah.
If only you could stack beds. That would make it amazing, right, Sean?
I would be in. I would definitely be in.
I got to be honest. It's giving me Echoes of Wisdom vibes in terms of its limited platforming and how you approach it.
Yeah. I mean, the actual like applying of the texture, like you just you hold down the shoulder button, point at something, and then you hold down the other shoulder button and point at something. Like that's all you're doing. So
I just want to be clear when I'm talking about Echoes of Wisdom, I'm saying I think it was limited in platforming. It was like when you jump, use the best thing to jump you have, which was like the trampoline or stacking beds to get across gaps. And I'm sure you get something better. It just seemed like once you've got the best thing to do that, you reuse it all the time, and it was cumbersome to do. It was much better in terms of enemy fighting and problem solving. It also looks like this, or puzzle solving, I should say. Ruffy in the Riverside looks like it's borrowing a bit from Mario Odyssey and has like 2D wall levels that you insert from 3D and go to 2D, and it becomes a platformer. Heavily inspired by Mario Odyssey. Let's just say.
Okay.
I'm wishlisting it.
Okay. Last one I'll mention: maintenance required. This is kind of another, like, I feel like it's not really a genre, but it's like a premise that a lot of games use, where it's like you're looking at, it's black and white. You're looking at an old retro computer.
This is a Sean game all the way.
Yes, you can see why I immediately downloaded it. You're basically, I guess, a developer or a tester for like an educational software on an old computer. And
It looks like it's specifically drawing on old Macs, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah. And then as you're playing through this thing, weird stuff starts happening, and it kind of seems like it's got a bit of a horror vibe. But the main game, as I was playing it, felt like an old school RPG. So I don't know if there's different mini games within the software that you're testing, or if it's all like that. But I don't know. It definitely was a wish list for me. It's got potential, I think. So there you go.
Yeah,
Steam
that
Next
looks cool.
Fest. I'm sure there's some other big ones that we didn't talk about, but honestly,
I
like,
look at the list of 50 that was on the front page today, and I was really disappointed. I was like, nothing.
yeah, like all the stuff that was, either at the top of the charts or mentioned in articles, there was a lot of just more roguelikes that's still going strong. And I don't know, just like management sim type stuff. Like that seems like those are the big things everyone's doing right now.
Not all that inspiring to me.
I
Okay.
had a lot of co-op horror, like horror games, those like jump scary stuff. Like it looked like a lot of let's get some Twitch streamers to stream this and get scared type games.
Yep.
I could see that for sure.
Frankie, that is where your money lies right there. Jumpscareking.twitch.tv.
No, thank you. Anyone else have anything they need to talk about?
No, I think that's it.
In summary, Steam Next Fest is a complete turd. All right, next week we'll have some new games to talk about. Probably Split Fiction.
Oh yeah.
Question is, do we play it online or offline? We got to do Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons Remastered. Side note, Sean and I had a bet as to whether or not it was co-op or not. Sean won the bet this weekend. I promptly paid him. And I think Huck, Sweetikin, 1 and 2, Friday.
I must say, you know what? I'm probably not going to play that game, or at least not right away. But I'm seeing a lot about that Expedition 33 Clear Obscure game now hitting my
I think
feeds.
a lot of previews just hit today.
Yeah, and it is looking pretty interesting. So that I think that game comes out in a couple weeks.
March, I think, yeah.
We're in March, buddy. We're in March.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Oh my God, my backlog's insane. And before Suikoden, I reversed the K and the D, which I did my whole life. Oh, okay, that's it. We're done. Next fest, you ruined me. You took a lot out of me. Never again. Okay. Thanks for listening or watching. YouTube.com/GameJunk. Goodbye.